Hello, and welcome to episode 123 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Joe, and joining me on our Star Destroyer as we chase the galactic rebels across the galaxy is Darth Morris.
Always two there must be. Hello.
Yes, correct. And two there are. Too many movies to talk about. But here we are, doing it anyway. This week's movie is Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedis. And if you enjoyed it, because you've probably seen it by now, then this will be the podcast for you. If you haven't seen it yet, it's still in the cinema and probably will be for about 6 months.
Yep.
So do pop down, watch it, and head back here because this discussion will be full of spoilers.
Riddled with them.
Yes. And it's a film which can be spoiled.
Yes, there's a lot of spoilers contained within.
And without further ado, I suppose I'll play a trailer and then we'll do a quick recap of the plot for anyone who hasn't seen it in a little while, even though it's only been out for about 3 days.
Yeah.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
So, Chris, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, tells the story of a number of people, some of whom we know, and some of whom we don't. And that's that. The First Order has tracked the last members of the Galactic Resistance to a relatively vulnerable base. General Leia Organa sends her bravest fighter pilot and fleet commander, Poe Dameron, to disrupt the attack. Poe buys the Resistance enough time to escape, but his desperation to be a hero leads him to launch a risky bombing raid on the Imperial Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is destroyed, but a huge number of the Resistance are killed in the process. Leia is furious and demotes Dameron. Rey, who's our hero from the first movie, has found Luke Skywalker on his secret planet hideout. She hands him a lightsaber, which he swiftly throws over his shoulder. He's done with that stuff, mate. All done with it. He tells her he's no interest in training her in the ways of the Force, and that he came to this island to die, and taking the Jedi Order with him. Aboard Supreme Leader Snoke's ship, Supreme Leader Snoke is upset with General Hux, who has been in charge of the attack on the Resistance. And he's just as upset with his protege, Kylo Ren, who he sees as a sincere disappointment due to Ren's internal conflict. Ren seems to want to go to the dark side and even killed his own father, Han Solo, in the previous film, but Supreme Leader Snoke senses that Kylo Ren is not up to the job. Kylo Ren immediately leads an attack on the escaping Resistance transport ships. He senses that his mother, General Leia, is on the ship using the Force, and she senses that he's there too. So he feels conflicted about whether to kill her, and he hesitates. His supporting fleet bomb the transport ship, and Leia is sucked into the vacuum of space. In the chaos aboard the ship, Finn wakes up from his coma from the previous film. His immediate plan is to escape and find Rey, but he's discovered boarding an escape pod by Rose, an engineer aboard the ship. Rose knocks Finn out to prevent his escape and takes him to the brig. General Leia uses an as-yet unseen force power to fly through the vacuum of space and back aboard the escape vessel. Once she's aboard, she falls into a coma. The ship jumps to light speed to escape the Empire, but is immediately... Sorry, not the Empire, the First Order. Important distinction. But is immediately tracked there. Tracking through hyperspace is assumed to have been impossible previously, but the Resistance soon deduce that Supreme Leader Snoke has some way of doing it, and that they need to get aboard his ship and destroy his ship's computer so that they can jump to hyperspace and safety. They have to do this quickly, as they're dangerously low on fuel, which is needed for both their escape and the ship's shields, which are taking a heavy barrage from the First Order's fleet.
Hmm.
Finn and Rose find Poe Dameron and tell him that they need to get aboard the ship. Dameron contacts Maz Kanata, who tells him that to go to a casino planet to find the greatest codebreaker in the galaxy, who is hiding there. He will be able to get them aboard Snoke's ship, she assures them. They head to that planet, and Finn is impressed by the huge amount of wealth there. However, Rose dispossesses him of the illusion by explaining that the wealth comes from war. The inequality and disregard for life is demonstrated by the sport of the planet, which involves badly treating animals and the people who look after them. Prompted by R2-D2, Luke eventually agrees to teach Rey the ways of the Force. Luke and Kylo give Rey differing accounts of the incident that Kylo turned to the dark side, with Luke confessing that he momentarily contemplated killing Kylo upon sensing that Supreme Leader Snoke had corrupted him, causing Kylo to destroy Rook's emergent Jedi Order in retaliation. So, convinced that Kylo can still be redeemed, Rey leaves Ahch-To, which is the planet Luke was on, to confront Kylo without Luke. Luke prepares to burn down the Ahch-To Jedi Temple and Library, but he encounters Yoda's Force Ghost, who destroys the temple himself and encourages Luke to learn from his failure. Holdo, who is General Holdo, she's like the commander that was in charge.
She's Vice Admiral Holdo, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. She's the commander of the fleet as Leia is in a coma.
Yeah, and Admiral Akbar is dead.
What a shame. And literally as well.
Yeah.
He died in real life. The voice.
Right.
Because he's not real, but his voice actor is dead.
I see.
Sorry to break it to you this way. Holdo reveals her plan to discreetly evacuate the remaining Resistance members using small transports. Believing her actions to be cowardly and risky, Poe Dameron instigates a mutiny. Finn, Rose, and BB-8 acquire the help of the hacker DJ, who says he is able to help them disable the tracking device. They infiltrate Snoke's ship, but are captured by Captain Phasma, though BB-8 manages to escape. Meanwhile, Rey lands on the ship, and Kylo brings her to Snoke, who reveals that he controlled the mental connection between her and Kylo as part of a plan to destroy Luke. Ordered to kill Rey, Kylo instead kills Snoke and works together with Rey to kill Snoke's guards. Kylo invites Rey to rule the galaxy with him, but Rey refuses. Using the Force, they struggle for possession of Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, which splits in two. A recovered Leia stuns Poe Dameron, allowing the evacuation to begin. Holdo remains on the ship to mislead Snoke's fleet, as all others attempt to flee to a nearby old Rebel Alliance base on Crate. However, DJ reveals the Resistance's plan to the First Order, and the evacuation transports are targeted with heavy losses. Holdo sacrifices herself by ramming Snoke's fleet at light speed to stop the barrage. Rey escapes in the chaos, while Kylo declares himself new Supreme Leader. BB-8 frees Finn and Rose, who escape after defeating Captain Phasma, and joins the survivors of the evacuation on Crate. When the First Order arrives, Poe, Finn and Rose lead a charge with old speeders that they found. Rey draws the TIE fighters away with the Millennium Falcon, while Rose saves Finn from a suicide run against the main enemy cannon, which blasts a hole in the Resistance fortress. Luke appears and confronts Kylo, alone, so that the surviving Resistance members can escape. Kylo orders the First Order forces to fire on Luke, but to no effect, then engages Luke in battle himself. Kylo strikes Luke with his lightsaber, only to learn that he has been fighting Luke's Force projection. Luke defiantly tells Kylo that he will not be the last Jedi, while Rey uses the Force to help the remaining Resistance fighters escape via the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, lifts a load of rocks in a very sort of Christ-like piece of imagery.
Back on Ahch-To, an exhausted Luke peacefully dies and becomes one with the Force. Leia reassures everyone that the rebellion has all that it needs to rise again. On Canto Bight, which was the casino planet, one of the children that helped Finn and Rose escape grabs a broom with the Force and gazes hopefully into space, showing that he's wearing a Resistance logo as a ring. And that is The Last Jedi. We got there in the end.
That was The Last Jedi. It's finally here.
It's been and gone. Did you enjoy it?
I really liked it, yeah. And now I assume half of the audience will turn off immediately because it's been a very divisive film, I think it's fair to say, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange one because a lot of people seem to want it to be like another Star Wars film. They're just like, well, it's Darth Vader. Because it's like, to some extent, if they retread those notes perfectly, there's a certain number of people in the crowd who'd be like, I fucking love this. Like Force Awakens was basically, we've said it before, and a lot of people have, it's basically a remake of New Hope with a bit more pizzazz. and it feels very fan servicey, and that was one of its weakest points when we talked about it before.
Sure.
And I still stand by that.
Mm.
This doesn't have any fan service.
No.
It's almost like
It's like fan disservice.
Yeah, exactly,
Like it knows how much you like Star Wars and how much you revere it, and it's quite happy to piss all over that.
But that's good. That is exactly.
I
what's
agree.
needed.
Yeah.
And
I mean, let me quote from our new Supreme Leader. Long live the Supreme Leader. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. And if like Episode 7 was a sort of love letter to the original trilogy, Episode 8 wants to burn it to the ground and start it all over again.
Yeah, almost literally.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like that's the best thing that could possibly happen to the series.
Yeah, because I didn't want to sit in and watch another, someone learns how to fight against the bad guy and then kills the Emperor.
Yeah,
and the bad guy turns good in the end. But this has a lot of like moral ambiguity. Like you think for a minute Kylo Ren might turn good and Rey might turn bad. There's a genuine like belief that might happen.
Yeah,
and it still might.
You see how conflicted even Luke, who is this iconic like Jedi master,
right?
How clouded his judgment was. You see the fact that for all of Finn's sort of moralizing about the evil First Order and the people who sell them weapons, guess what? They sell weapons to the Resistance as well.
Yeah,
it's all very. Everything's grey. Everything's nothing's black and white anymore.
Exactly. Everything you believed like about goodies and baddies is actually like, well, no, actually, they're not all bad and they're not all good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very positive step for the franchise to take.
I agree. And even the person who is the most evil and is like unrelentingly evil is obviously Snoke. But it's like his archness that is his demise because he's there like.
He's like licking his lips at how deliciously evil his plan has
been.
And
it's like he closes his eyes and he's like, turning the lightsaber on your true enemy. And it's like, because he goes so pantomime and the way you'd expect him to be, he gets killed really easily.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like a fart. It's just like nothing. He's just dead now. And you're like, well, that's really disappointing.
And like you say, you think, oh, this is the turning point. Kylo Ren's good now. It's like, no, he just hates the past so much. He hates all of this like black and white moralizing. Everyone has to be good or bad. You have to be on one side or the other. And he just wants to get rid of it all. He wants to just destroy everything, wipe the slate clean and build something new. And you spend 5 minutes thinking that, they're going to team up. They're going to be like a crime fighting Jedi duo.
Yeah.
But no, Kylo Ren just wants to like remove any like semblance of history in the current situation.
Exactly, but it's not. It's hard to say he's not evil because he's obviously killing.
He is evil. Yeah, he's definitely. Well, he is evil. He's definitely evil.
But the when you factor in the fact that what he wants to do is like cut out all the dynasties. What he's doing is I mean, in the same way that A New Hope was very political and it was about like fascism is bad,
anti-establishment. Big government is bad.
Exactly. This is similar in the fact that it's like, well, the institutions that were put there need to be broken down, and that's true. And we, as millennials, we probably believe that.
Yeah,
and it's true. Like, there's some satisfaction in
there
seeing
needs to be
Snoke
change.
Die.
There needs to be change,
and but then it's the same as Donald Trump. Right? They voted for change.
So what you're saying is Kylo Ren is Star Wars is Donald Trump.
Basically. Yeah. He wasn't voted in though. He did kill his predecessor.
I mean, Adam Driver is, I think, for my money, the best thing that has ever happened to Star Wars as a franchise. And I would put him above Harrison Ford. I'd put him above, Carrie Fisher, Ewan McGregor, like any of the actors who come out of the franchise with some credit.
Even above Jar Jar Binks, mate.
Yeah. Yes, I would. Okay. But yeah, I think he's fantastic. Like, I could honestly watch Adam Driver just, like walking around for 3 hours. It'd be fantastic.
His delivery of every line is just like he just doesn't give a fuck about anyone.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, of course not.
Yeah, but he obviously Adam Driver was a Marine.
Yeah,
and I think that seems like quite a strange career path.
Right.
But both of them have like that sort of absolute dedication required as a vocation. You know, like it's sort of you need to commit your all to it. And it's just he's such a physical performer, and I think that lets them focus on him physically so much, which is really good. You know, there's loads of just like little shots of him standing in certain ways, like when he's fighting and like putting his foot down in a certain way. There's a shot on Crate, which is, you know, the whole of the Crate sequence is quite visually spectacular, but he like draws his lightsaber and he puts his foot down and then like twists it to put himself in some sort of like strong posture. And like, obviously it's heightened because the red mineral is coming out underneath.
Right.
But it's just like you know, his performance is so physically driven that it allows them to make, you know, a big deal out of all those minute little details.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's a very imposing presence.
Yeah, and I think he's incredible. I think he's going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I think he already is.
Yes, but as in like he's going to be the next big thing.
Right. I think his delivery of lines is like so no nonsense. Like when he's telling Rey about her real parents, it's like, no, they were, of course, they were just drunk artists. He's just like, he doesn't care about any pomp and ceremony.
No, exactly. And it's like what you were saying about Snoke being too almost like theatrical pantomime. Adam Driver is like mumblecore Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like he's literally just like, I think in the last, when we were talking about The Force Awakens, we were just saying that he's like a nerdy fanboy. Yeah. Which is basically what he still is, but he's like twice as angry now.
Yeah. And is like the most powerful person around.
Yeah, exactly. I think he is incredibly compelling. I think some people seem to like dislike him and think that he is just like an emo, and therefore he's not an interesting character. But I just can't understand that at all.
Well, I think that you'd only say that in the absence of him. He's not Darth Vader, but obviously there's an artistic decision to make him not Darth Vader, which is what we appreciate. Yeah. But there's people out there who are like, oh, he's not clearly evil enough.
Yeah, but Darth Vader is essentially like a blank slate, really. Like he's imposing physically, and he has some, you know, very well written lines, and he can, you know, force choke people and all that sort of thing. But all of his gravitas comes from other people talking about him, really. Yeah. Like it's all about how he's, you know, this fallen Jedi, and he's this and that and whatever.
I'm assuming you're discounting the prequels because they're fucking bollocks.
Well, I mean, like they give us a you know, historical structure, but yeah, like I don't.
The thing is, they make him into like space Jesus,
right? Exactly. Yeah,
and he's not that in the original trilogy. He's just like a particularly clever and Machiavellian hero. Yeah. Villain.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you should mention the space Jesus thing. Bad news for midichlorians fans in this film, isn't it? When the Force is explained as just being like
something everyone has.
Yeah, or like the contact between all things, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone can feel it, sort of thing.
Yeah. But I think even at the time, George Lucas said, well, it's just like a theory.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be an apologist for George Lucas.
It's a theory that's positioned as the truth in that film. Yeah.
I want to list off a few things I liked, and there's quite a lot of them. Mm-hmm. The fact that the movie has like a genuine artistic merit. Right. You could watch it with the sound off, even, and like it would be like you'd understand exactly what's happening.
Right.
It's just like every frame is a painting.
Sure. Okay.
There's a common thing, and I know you're in agreement with me. It's the best scene in the film is the jump to hyperspace suicide dive into
kamikaze like light speed ram thing. Like it. That's the I'm on record as saying that's the best looking visual thing in the whole Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's staggering.
Yeah, and also it's like a I know you said there's no fan service in here, but there's fan service in the sense of like that's a question that people will have been thinking, like, what would happen if, you know, the Millennium Falcon just like smashed into something as it was going into light speed? Well, there's your answer.
What happens. Yeah. But it's almost like that shot, because it's like a flash of light, and you're like you're stunned because it's like so like it cuts silence, and it's just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah,
that's almost like a severing of like the old saga and the new saga, because Snoke just died.
Yeah.
Then this happens. The lightsaber explodes at like the exact same moment,
Mm.
and it's like there's like the old Star Wars you knew is gone. That's
Yeah.
not it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better go to Hoth version 2 now.
Yes, exactly. The action and drama,
Mhm.
absolutely jaw dropping. Like
Sure.
all the fight scenes are staggering.
Yeah.
There's impact to them. Like, and next week we're talking about Wonder Woman.
Right,
And that's CGI rubber men fighting against CGI rubber men. It's just like boring.
Yeah. Or rubber women, Joe.
Yeah, true. Whereas in this, it's like actual physical actors who have learned a choreographed fight with martial arts professionals, and they've learned the moves, and it's like impactful.
Yeah, but like I think weight is I think you said it had weight, and I think that's the best point of comparison when you consider it in light of the prequels, for example, because obviously they have those spectacular fight scenes, but they're essentially weightless.
Yeah, they're just dances.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. They're just like rubber men flying around. Whereas this, like, there's one sort of centerpiece lightsaber fight involving Kylo, Rey, and the Praetorian Guards,
Right, yeah.
as they're known, and that is I think that's spectacular because it's like everything's quite measured still. You know, it's like physical and.
Right.
You know, they're using their like the thing that you never really got that much in the previous Star Wars films. Are like they use their bodies and they like punch and they grab and
Bite.
and like just sort of twist around one another
and they kick each other's legs out and stuff.
And it's like it's martial arts less in the sense, you know, like it might have been like martial arts style dancing in the prequels. Now it's like martial arts like Taekwondo, where they're like trying to grab and throw each other and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
just to gain any upper hand.
Exactly, but they're holding like massive lightsabers. As well.
Right.
But I love the fact that, you know, they're slow and considered enough that you can. There's a shot of Adam Driver, again, my favourite man in the world, apparently. He basically is holding his lightsaber out, and the camera pulls back, and there's like 3 of the guards around him, and he sort of looks around like from one to the other. And it's like you can see the cogs turning in his head. And like, obviously, you know that he has the Force as well. So he's probably like feeling where everyone is and knowing like all that sort of thing. But it's like the fight scene breathes enough for you to watch this guy figure out a tactic in his head, right? And go like, right, well, these guys are going to come for me and I'm going to have to like figure it out.
Again, to throw forward to a movie we're covering soon, Spider-Man.
Right.
There's in the Spider-Man 2002 version, he has his Spidey sense.
Yes.
And you get like in slow motion, you get like the punch coming towards him so he can dodge it. In this, you get like that level of thought, but because it's not Spidey sense, it's the Force. You see it like just from like the camera spinning around really quickly. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I think they're really good.
There's a complete challenging of expectations in this movie.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
I think you mentioned in the recap, in the section of the recap that you did yourself,
Right.
Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, which obviously undercuts like 2 years of blue balls for sort of rabid Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But as soon as I watched that scene in the cinema, I was just like, right, I'm on board now.
Right.
I'm totally on board with what they're doing here, because it's like the whole film is about undercutting expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
And that really sets the tone. It's like, this isn't, as Luke says in a heavy-handed, trailer-friendly phrase, this isn't going to go the way you think.
Right, exactly. It's quite Coen Brothers-esque to build someone's expectations to a point and then just be like, nope.
Yeah, imagine the Coen brothers doing a Star Wars film. It's like a small town outside Tatooine.
Yeah. And everyone just fucking up. Someone tries to build their own lightsaber and it blows up.
But yeah, like undercut so many expectations. Like Rey's parents as well.
Yeah, it's just like
they're nobody.
Yeah.
Snoke dying, as you said, and you know, people not swapping sides. I think because the cards seemed so heavily stacked towards that direction. I think.
Yeah.
And I think we said as much in the previous podcast. We on The Force Awakens.
Exactly.
We said that that's what we thought might happen.
I thought it would be interesting if like one of the main 3 died.
Yeah,
main 4 if you throw in Poe Dameron as well.
Yeah, but I just like. I almost think it would be a waste though, because they're all so good.
Yeah.
And it's about fostering that new generation.
Exactly.
And if you kill off one of them, is it then, that you have an older generation person come back in a sort of bigger role or what? And then obviously you can't do that now because Luke's dead and Carrie Fisher, unfortunately, is died. So
Luke will be back. I'm sure of that.
Well, it's like a ghost, I'm sure, yeah.
But like, And what I liked about Yoda in this, though, is that he was a puppet.
Yeah.
And had, like, rather than being like a fucking warmonger who was like a super
like a general.
Genius. Now he's like, a wild cat.
Mischievous.
Yeah. What I liked about this, Chris, was the vegan message.
Okay.
You picked up on that. So there's a scene where there's this giant, I don't know, bantha, whatever the fuck it is.
Right. The weird oceanic space giraffe.
Yeah.
That Luke milks and then like pours half of it over his face in like a sort of...
And it's like the suggestion to me, as someone who's opposed to dairy products, as you know I am.
Staunchly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a hardline vegan. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's disgusting to see someone like milk an animal and then drink the disgusting milk.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And then later on, Chewbacca is eating one of those birds.
Yeah.
They have names. I don't know what they
porgs.
are. There we are. Porgs. Yeah.
And then of course there's the sort of animals in captivity message as well, which I think we haven't really touched on this, but that whole chase I think is
the worst part of the film.
Yeah, by some distance. Yeah. It's the bit that strays into prequel territory, which I know that's not a new or like rare opinion to hold.
No.
But at the same time, I think people have been like wildly exaggerating how bad it is because it only lasts a couple of minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas in like, one of the prequel films, you probably would have
45
right,
minutes
exactly,
long.
Yeah. And you'd have like a fucking Jedi Council meeting, like, should we do anything about the space horse race on Canto Blight? Obi-Wan, why don't you go and meet with the senator there? And then while Obi-Wan's there, he's like, something's a bit wrong here.
My force senses tell me that something's amiss. Yeah, fair point. And the final note for me that is a good thing in this film. There's no like knowing like quotes where it's like what do I fucking say in the I've got a bad feeling about
right
this.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It's just like, no, fucking forget that shit. C-3PO's in it, but he's not like, oh, Master Luke, and then Luke's like, 3PO, oh
yeah, he winks at him. That's
it, but that's enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's also somewhat like nice.
Yeah. We talked a lot about the things we liked about the film, Joe. Let me tell you about the things that I didn't like. I've already mentioned one of them, the space horse racing section and the chase scene.
Can I guess one?
Go on.
Leia's spacewalk.
This is another controversial moment, yeah. I didn't hate it in the way that a lot of people seem to have.
No, not at all. It's unusual though, because it's like it's a previously unseen force power, which we've seen. I mean, the force scope call hasn't been seen before,
right?
So it's not like this movie's afraid of doing that, and that's okay. I appreciate that. And also, what the fuck is the force anyway? And also, it's a fucking Star Wars movie. And also, why am I talking about it?
Yeah, I have a real problem about people like getting up in arms about the sort of particulars of what like space wizards can and can't do.
Right. Exactly.
Like it's a bit ridiculous to me. What it felt like, because it's not like definitively said how or why she does it, right?
No.
And I think some people are sort of saying, why are you going off to find Luke as like a inspirational force wielding person when you can use the force? To me, it felt like Leia has never used the force really, other than a sort of like intuition thing, right? Like knowing her son's nearby. And then in this moment, she's like on the brink of death, and it's like a subconscious reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's not exactly awake while she's doing it.
No, and that's what it felt like to me. It felt more like that than it did a conscious Mary Poppins like space glide that some people have been keen to sort of draw a comparison.
It was a bit Mary Poppins,
right? Yeah, but I think like I didn't love it the first time round, and I think part of that is because it almost felt like the twist on the scene was going to be that all of what we'd just seen and the ship's been destroyed and everything was a premonition that she was having. Like, when it cuts to her face and she opens her eyes and all that sort of thing. I thought that's what that was going to be. And then when it sort of, she was flying back towards the ship, I thought maybe that was like time going in reverse and it was going to be something like that. And like, I honestly, I feel like I need to see it again, knowing what it is. But like I said, I think people seem to take a real issue with it just on the principle of that they don't think Princess Leia could do that. And it's like, well, she did.
Yeah.
She's a space witch.
Yeah.
There are lots of space wizards and witches. Just get over it.
Exactly, yeah.
And the final thing that I sort of was a bit disappointed about was Captain Phasma not really being used again. I don't
definitely dead this time.
I don't think she is dead. I don't think she is dead. That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she is. I think she'll come back again. If it, like
fell in a volcano.
It was an elevator shaft. It's not like a bottomless pit.
In this one, it wasn't the elevator shaft. The last one was like a garbage chute. This
No,
one
no,
was
in
like
this one,
she fell into a
she-
fire pit.
Oh, the floor collapses underneath
Yeah.
it, isn't it? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It would be a shame. It would be a
yeah.
poor use of Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah,
if she never comes back.
exactly. Yeah.
So maybe she will. Maybe she'll like be the vice supreme leader, but she'll have like all of her suit will be charred black, including like that bit of her face that is exposed. Or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing that riled me up a little bit was like, Han Solo's a dick to people.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, it's okay because he's Han Solo. Like, that's quite funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's a lovable rogue.
Sure.
In this one, Poe Dameron is obviously the Han Solo figure in that sense.
Yeah.
But he's just a dick to his superiors.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand.
That's his arc, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like learning that, there are bigger fights than just going out and being a hero.
I think like the feminist in me who sees him like riling up
Right.
against the female leaders,
Yeah.
and he's never really punished. Like they demote him, but that's meaningless. And they're both like, I love him really.
But it's not meaningless though, is it? Because he's not informed of the plan. And I think that is why. Like, so people are saying like, why wouldn't you just tell Poe? And it's like, well, it's because he's been deemed untrustworthy by the leader of the resistance.
I guess so. But it just seems like he, at the end of it, is like re-promoted, and it's like, there was never really a demotion. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It was like a ceremonial thing. And he still managed to do like, he didn't do any damage really.
Well, it's debatable, isn't it?
He caused the death of people through hubris, and he deliberately disobeyed orders and probably led to the deaths of people.
Right.
He led a mutiny, and at the end of it, he's still kind of like celebrated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I understand because he's a funny character.
So what you think is that he should
have
have some sort? He should be put on like administrative leave or something.
Yeah, he should be like
as one of the
pensioned
like
off.
13 people left of the
Yes.
resistance.
I don't know. As a character arc, what's he learned?
Yeah, I don't. Well, I think that he's in the end, in the final scene of the film, when they're on those gliders.
Yeah.
He's the one who calls the sort of tactical retreat, isn't he? Because he understands now that there are bigger battles to be fought.
Take your fights kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Fair enough. Yeah. I did have a final point, which was kind of discuss why people seem to be missing the point about why this is different. I think we've covered that pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. I think it comes down to people just being too precious about the things that they grew up with or care a lot about.
So, I mean, I've heard people say, one quote in particular I read somewhere was, they're missing out on not having a Darth Vader, which is kind of like in James Bond, if they made like Casino Royale or Skyfall,
right,
and been like, it's been 40 years
there's
since
no,
we had
no
Blofeld.
Right.
Yeah, what we need is a Blofeld.
Yeah,
and of course they did do that in the end. But
I think Kylo Ren is potentially more interesting than
far more interesting. Yeah,
but also I think like the complaint from the previous film was that it was too similar to the old ones, and they didn't do enough differently. And the complaint for this one seems to be that they've done too much differently.
Exactly.
And it's like either Disney are cynically retreading all the original trilogy in order to just like pump loads of money out of Star Wars, or they're like tarnishing Star Wars by taking it off in its own direction and like ruining the legacy of this sci-fi thing. But it can't be both. You've got to make
No,
up your
exactly,
mind
yeah.
what part of it you're like really gonna, which hill you're gonna choose to die on, right? Because every time a film comes out, you can't just suddenly like swap to like, oh no, this is rubbish because of this reason now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, and Disney are to blame.
I mean, bad reviews are much more fun to listen to and read.
Yeah, there's probably
Sure.
an element of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do. You haven't done it in a while, Chris, have we? A quiz.
No, not
No.
for a little bit.
So, on that note, I'd like to play my Star Wars movie review quiz.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, Chris, is read you a review
Okay.
from one of the 9 Star Wars movies so far,
Right.
and your job is to tell me which movie is it from.
Okay. And is this like an official review or is it a just mad internet comment person?
I'll make sure I tell you where it comes from, and these are all basically well-known established newspapers.
Okay, fine.
All right. So question 1. Not just a dull, but an oppressive experience. Being force-fed a corporate product, a film that never comes alive, with none of the characters properly developed, none of the relationships gelling, the very adventure formulaic.
I'm going to say, on the basis of the word corporate, I'm going to say that this is Force Awakens. Oh, no.
No, it was Rogue One,
Oh, okay.
and that came from the Evening Standard.
Right.
Question 2. Despite the copious servings of tragic threats and good feelings, the production sinks under the weight of its emotional calculation.
Revenge of the Sith.
That is from the New Yorker, Chris, and that is The Force Awakens.
Right, okay. Fine. Okay, so there's the 2 new ones taken care of.
Yes.
Okay.
So question 3.
Mm-hmm.
As each magnificently choreographed set piece unfolds, there's little doubt that the director knows how to create populist entertainment at its best.
The Phantom Menace.
Correct.
Yes.
That's from the
Good.
Metro.
Right. At its best.
You can see what I've kind of gone for here.
Yeah. I'm
taking
getting
the
it.
other side.
Sure.
Question 4.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the astronomical audiences. Oh, the mundane story. Oh, the over-cute little robots. Oh, the vapid actors. The galactic shootouts. Oh, the brilliant technology. And oh, the boredom of it all.
Return of the Jedi.
And that was A New Hope.
Oh.
Sydney
God.
Morning Herald there.
Right.
Question 5. Movie magic has been replaced by hocus pocus. Or perhaps even mumbo jumbo.
Attack of the Clones.
Never has the Eastern Western pop psychology of the franchise rung so hollow.
Attack of the Clones.
Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
from the Telegraph.
Okay.
And finally, it is hard to place one's affections anywhere in a world which is ruled by buttons and dials, computers and bleeps, and people whose conversation is technical, inaudible, or dull.
Attack of the Clones.
Empire Strikes Back. That's from the Daily Telegraph.
Good grief. Good grief. Well, I got 1 out of 7 there?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you don't know Star Wars at all, apparently.
No, not at all.
So, Chris, we've been talking about this for too long, and I want to go home.
Mm.
So let's talk about how you would survive if you found yourself on chat, or whatever it's called.
Crate.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Well, you said it in the recap. Rey appears in the Millennium Falcon and she draws all the TIE fighters away.
Yep.
And then in the Millennium Falcon leads them into a narrow series of tunnels and caves.
Yeah.
Now, the TIE fighters have what I'm going to generously call a checkered history with chasing the Millennium Falcon into like networks of tunnels.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the asteroid field. We've seen it in The Force Awakens going through the old Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Um,
New Hope, obviously.
New Hope, yeah.
Death Star. Death Star 2.
yeah. You mean Return of the Jedi, I believe. Death Star 2.
Death Star's 1. Death Star 1. In
Oh,
New Hope.
you mean like Death Star 2 in Return of the
'Cause
Jedi as well?
he shows up at the end of...
Sure, yeah, but he just shoots a few things and flies off, really.
Right, okay.
In Return of the Jedi...
breaks the line, really.
In Return of the Jedi, they fly into the Death Star, chasing the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Now, at the moment, the Millennium Falcon is like about 10,000 to nil in terms of these fights.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to design a spacecraft that was poorly designed for going into tight spaces, the TIE fighter would basically be the peak of that design.
Yeah, exactly. Unnecessarily like big to small wings.
Yeah. It's got those giant wings so that it's really fast.
Yeah.
And it's still not as fast as the Millennium Falcon, and it's like 5 times as tall, and it basically ends really badly for every single TIE fighter pilot that chases him into like a little cave or whatever. So stop doing that. Like if like the Millennium Falcon's flown into a planet, it's gonna come out somewhere. Like, just go back to shooting all the...
Yeah. It's not like you don't have to chase the Millennium Falcon.
No, exactly. Like all these TIE fighter pilots think like, oh, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the one to finally... Like he's killed 9,000 of my fellow TIE flight school graduates. I'm going to be the one who finally takes it down.
Thing is, I agree with you. My question would be, does anyone really know what the Millennium Falcon is? Because it's a pretty big army.
Yeah, I think it would do, definitely.
You think it'd be famous?
Yeah, I think so.
It'd be like if you were in...
Mate, it's the one who did the Corellian space run in 9.5 parsecs or whatever the fucking hell that was.
Well, the thing is, it's like if you were like an old man of war in the Spanish Armada or something. There's certain ships that you'd be afraid of seeing.
Sure, yeah.
That's probably one of them.
Yeah, and you wouldn't like... If in the, in the battle for the seas, there was one ship that... kept destroying ships by like leading it down these incredibly tight networks of rocks.
Yeah. Every single one became wrecked and everyone died aboard.
Eventually you would stop your ships following them.
Yeah. Yeah, fair point. That's a good point. I guess then... Because the Millennium Falcon's got pretty good cannons. It could have really like fucking run up.
Yeah.
So maybe the need to destroy the Falcon because it's such a threat outweighs the risk of chasing.
Like they're chasing, they're throwing good money after bad, I think, at this point. How about you? Any survival ideas?
Yeah. You might think it's a little bit cheap.
Okay.
Open your eyes.
You're talking to old Snokey boy, right?
Yeah. Supreme Leader Snoke.
Mm-hmm.
Just open your eyes. No need to close them, really, was there?
He's just reveling in he's enjoying the moment, isn't he?
He is, but he's also like he knows everything that's happening in the whole universe because his force is so good.
Yeah.
Yet he can't judge what's happening like 1 inch from his elbow.
Yeah. I think that's the point though, isn't it? He's so arrogant that he's not.
He's so pantomime.
Yeah, he's not foreseen the possibility of this happening. But I agree that if he was looking at the lightsaber, he probably wouldn't have been tricked. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
We talked about it earlier. The one of my favorite bits of the film is the light speed ram.
Yep.
Could you just put light speed like drives onto like bits of scrap metal, old ships, like the ones that run out of fuel?
Yeah,
like earlier. Just spin them around.
Yeah.
Like, is Holdo the first person who's ever thought to do this, basically, is my question.
Maybe it's like a war crime.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I can see why. Because it's like the biggest destructive weapon since the Death Star.
Yeah.
Like, it destroys the whole fleet, basically, doesn't it? Which is pretty impressive work. I just do that. Like, just build weapons based around
that
the ability.
principle.
Yeah, exactly. The ability to jump into light speed.
Yeah.
So just like, even if it's like, something that's the size of a car, if it's traveling at like, 100,000 miles an hour, it's going to destroy anything it comes into contact with, isn't it?
Exactly. If it's going light speed,
exactly.
It's going to fuck shit up.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really argue that. I mean, if it is a war crime, do you think the resistance would counter it? Would they do it?
Well, if it is a war crime, they do that. So,
but it seems to be pretty rash. Like, it's
desperation, but it's the most effective act of desperation that the world has ever seen.
Other than the Death Star and whatever the fucking planet destroyer was,
Starkiller
base.
Yeah.
Right? it is, yeah, you're right, the most effective thing we've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe the bombing run was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
This has been a good movie for new weapons.
Yeah.
My next suggestion, Chris, is for Kylo. He doesn't die, but maybe it could be for Snoke as well. That's to realise by now that nobody who follows the good side of the Force ever actually dies. They just turn into a ghost.
Right, okay.
And then are there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an equivalent of like a Sith ghost?
We've never seen that.
One.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure like someone's going to email in and say, actually, in the Darth
extended
Maul
universe
comics.
novel comic episode, whatever. Yeah.
We've never seen that. I don't know.
No, that's true. We've got a rule about not changing the motivations of characters. Do you think it's fair to say that this falls into that?
Well, I'd say Snoke and the Emperor both strike me as people who would be like, I really want to live forever because I'm so mad.
But they can't just go, I'm going to follow the light side of the Force.
Even Anakin wanted to live. He wanted to like stop people dying.
Yeah, but it's not as simple as just like choosing, like in a video game, am I going to be good or bad? It's like you have to dedicate your whole life to it. And by their very nature, the goals that they have and the things that they want to accomplish are evil, or like the ways in which they're going about them are evil.
Right.
And so like they'd have to, what you're saying is basically Supreme Leader Snoke, be a good person, please. Like,
maybe. Yeah, but like, okay, let's take Anakin for an example.
Yeah.
Like he gets corrupted by old Palpatine. He's like, oh, did you ever hear the story of the man who wanted to live forever?
Yeah.
Like, what he should have said is, did you know the story of the man who wanted to live forever? His name was Yoda, and he lived forever.
Yeah.
His name was also
in a form.
Yeah.
He could appear at will to his loved ones who could see him and converse with him.
Yeah.
If that's not living with forever, that's the closest thing we've got to it. Maybe you should consider it.
Yeah. But instead he's like, fucking, there's no way to live forever if you're a Sith Lord other than be like really hideously ugly, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to summarize that point, realize that nobody on the good side ever really dies.
Apart from Han Solo.
He's not Jedi, is he?
No, but you didn't say that. You just said it on the good side.
He's
my next point,
murky.
and my final point is a very simple one. I'm sure this has been the subject of like a Saturday Night Live sketch or something. But why does no one use handrails ever in the Star Wars? There's not a single handrail, right? Even in the throne room, where the most important person is located and he's a like infirm, like doddery person, there's no handrails. Where they've got like turbines built into the floor because one of the guards falls into it and it like sprays like his fragments of his armor, and then another one later gets killed and like topples off the side, which we didn't even realise was a drop. But for some reason, there is one.
Yeah, and if we go
Han
back
Solo, last film, falls off. Like, it's just people, like in A New Hope, a stormtrooper, gets shot and tumbles off the thing.
Even the Emperor is thrown down the hole.
Right. Like, where are the health and safety regulations in this thing?
Yeah.
It's absolute madness. People just falling off the edges of
Luke
stuff.
fell in one.
Right. It's littered with it. Like, is this... they say like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it's like, theoretically set in the past.
Before political correctness went mad, mate.
No, it's set before handrails were invented. Long before humans, there was, many intergalactic races, but they all died to an epidemic of falling off of like high ledges.
Yeah. They mastered in like light speed travel.
Yeah, exactly. But they haven't mastered putting a little railing there,
a bit of rope.
Exactly. Like it's absolutely mad. It's absolute madness.
Yeah. It's like in Signs when the aliens master space travel but can't open like a wooden door.
Right. Yeah.
Get the basics right first, guys.
A locked wooden door.
Still, kick it in.
Right. Put handrails on stuff.
Yeah,
that's my idea.
Agreed.
How about you? Any closing ideas?
Yeah. Similar to my last point, really.
Mm-hmm.
Just anytime you think you might die, you should make sure someone kills you in anger.
Right. And then you'll live forever.
Not only that, but you'll be stronger than anyone could possibly imagine.
Isn't that's just people who are like, big on the Force already.
Someone who's about to become one with the Force.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what
like we've only heard 2 people saying it, and in both instances they're like the most adept person with the Force.
Does
in the
Qui-Gon
universe.
come back ever?
Maybe like no, I'm not sure actually. I'm not entirely sure.
Because people who definitely need to come back. Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Ben,
Anakin.
Yeah. Ben, Anakin, and
Luke.
Luke, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he does come back. It's because he like dies, then immediately fades back in. Like, it's like no time passed. But he's like floating above the. I'm pretty sure.
No, he fades out when it like.
Oh, and his robe just disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like he's the 2 suns set, don't they? And it's like a mirror image of
Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't come back.
No.
Right. That was
Maybe
just
in
my dream.
episode 9. Have you got any predictions for episode 9?
Luke will come back.
Right. Yeah.
But who will he come back to? It could be interesting if he comes back to Kylo.
Yeah, that would be good actually. Yeah.
Because what he said was, "I will haunt you."
Yeah.
So presumably Kylo's going to do something bad, and then Luke's going to be like,
and his last words to her, "See you around, kid."
"Yeah, exactly."
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's not really prediction so much, is it?
Nope.
Listening to the script.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
In episode like 300 and something.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck,
No,
it's 2
it wouldn't be.
years.
It'd be like 234 or something like that.
Yeah, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Mamma mia. Good stuff, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have the Han Solo story before that anyway.
Yeah, Solo.
Yep.
A Star Wars story.
Yeah, but actually, good director. Yeah,
That's going to be shit, isn't it? It's going to be terrible.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it will be.
The thing is, think about this, right? You've got matey from
Apollo 13.
No, Ron Howard. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not in it.
Right.
I mean, Han Solo is played by the guy from Hail Caesar.
Right. Alden Ehrick. Or whatever his name is,
With it was so simple, right?
Yeah.
Donald Glover, very funny.
Yeah. As Lando, presumably.
Yeah, that's not presumably. You must have known that.
Is it Lando?
Yeah.
It is, right. Okay, fine.
No,
Emilia
one of those- one of those
Emilia
other-
Clarke's in it as well.
One of those many other black characters in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Oh, Finn, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's me.
Emilia Clarke's in it as well.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
Is she?
Don't know.
Princess Leia Organa.
Who knows?
Well, that's how much we care. So tune in a year's time and you'll hear that one.
Yeah.
Next week, not even next week, in like 3 days' time. 4 days' time?
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, whenever that is.
Yeah.
We're going to have a little trip to a place I like to call Home Alone 3.
Yes, exactly. Our yearly
Yeah.
look back at the.
Mate, I can't wait. But do you know what I like about it is Macaulay Culkin movies are like underrated. Like,
Yeah.
there's not enough of them.
Yeah.
Like you've got 2 Home Alone. You've got Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2,
Mm-hmm.
Richie Rich.
Right.
Now Home Alone 3. I'm looking forward to checking back in with Kevin
Yeah.
and seeing what he's been up to.
You know,
What's he been up to?
You know, he's not in it. Kevin's not in it. Macaulay Culkin's not in it. None of the family are in it.
Oh, but Sticky Bandits though. So Joe Pesci is going to be making it.
No,
popping his head in.
it's actually North Korean terrorists. That's not even a joke. That's not even a joke. That's not even a joke. It's North Korean terrorists.
Well, it's about who are they?
They're the villains.
They're the ones who are Home
They're
Alone.
the hapless bungling burglars.
North
are in
Korean
fact-
terrorists.
Yep.
That seems really like
What, inappropriate?
orientalizing and weird.
Yeah. Oh, well, they're not North Korean.
What do you mean?
You'll have to tune in on Christmas Eve for the first of our Christmas specials to
Yeah.
find out.
Second one, Die Hard 2.
Yeah, Die Harder.
Yeah.
Not featuring a different nationality of terrorists.
Yeah.
Like American terrorists?
No, they're made up in this one, aren't they? They're just like from like
No, because the general is from like, Guatemala. Like,
yeah.
but like the terrorists. Anyway, you'll have to tune in to find out.
Yeah.
Boxing Day, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Could it get any worse for John McClane?
Yes.
There's only one way to find out. And then this time next week, or in fact next Wednesday, back on our usual release day,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman to round off 2017 with one of the biggest hits of the year.
Yeah. And our first ever superhero movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a way to start.
And we can even throw ahead the week after that. We never plan this far ahead, but because it's Christmas, we have to. Yay! Spider-Man.
Yep.
In 2002, the Tobey Maguire one, the first one.
Sam Raimi directing.
Great. Can't wait.
Yeah. So that's what you got to look forward to. That's 4 whole episodes coming up in the next sort of 10 days.
Not bad, is it? Now, if you want to get in touch with us and tell us how you would have survived in the Last Jedi or any of the other Star Wars movies, or any of the movies we covered in our back catalogue, or Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Home Alone 3, or Die Harder,
Yeah.
the email address to get in contact on is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Twitter is @HowToSurvivePod. Facebook is facebook.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yes. And getting in contact, Chris, is exactly what Kieran McCartan has done. Kieran got in touch by email to say, just a wee listener suggestion from a long-time listener, Kieran, naming himself in the email.
Sure.
Fine. And the suggestion is Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Exploitation B-movie.
Found footage? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I've never seen it.
No. So maybe we'll add that to the list of maybes.
Yeah, in the new year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. And also one last thing. If you go to youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod, there's a little Christmas treat on there as well.
Yeah.
As we finally put to bed the big festive question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? There's only one way to find out, and you'll have to watch the video.
Yeah, and there's one more thing, really. Have a bloody good Christmas, please.
Yeah.
Just have a bloody good Christmas, please.
We're actually doing a podcast before Christmas again, aren't we, mate?
I'll say it again. All I want is people have a good Christmas.
Right. Just let Christmas die.
Burn
Kill
it to
it
the
if you
ground.
have to.